I want to talk to you about a movie. Not because it's a classic, not because some film critic told me it belongs on a list, but because I've watched it probably a dozen times in the last few years, and each time I watch it, I feel like it's talking directly to me. Maybe it's talking directly to you too. I'm in my midlife period. Yes, at that age. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not doing great. The debt is real. The anxiety at 3 a.m. is real. The feeling that the world is collapsing a little faster every year, and nobody has a map for what comes next. That's real. And somehow, a 30-year-old film set inside a prison keeps showing me the way forward. So let's talk about The Shawshank Redemption. Why is this movie so loved? Here's something almost unbelievable. When The Shawshank Redemption was released in 1994, it bombed. Barely made back its budget in cinemas. The studio was disappointed. Critics were polite but not wild. And then something strange happened. People started watching it on VHS. Then cable TV picked it up. And it spread, not through marketing, not through hype, but through one person turning to another and saying, "You need to watch this." Today it sits at number 1 on IMDB's list of the greatest films ever made. Voted there by ordinary people, not critics, not awards committees. Regular human beings who watched it and felt something shift inside them. Why? Because it doesn't lie to you. It doesn't give you a superhero. It doesn't give you an easy villain. It gives you a man in an impossible situation who refuses to stop being himself. In a world that is increasingly crushing the individual, with bills, with bad news, with systems that feel rigged, we are starving for that story. We need to see a man who doesn't break, or if he bends back. That's why we love it. That's why you love it. So what's the story? So let me take you through it in case it's been a while. 1947, Portland, Maine. A young banker named Andy Dufresne is convicted of murdering his wife and her lover. He maintains his innocence. The jury doesn't believe him. He's sent to Shawshank State Penitentiary, a hard, brutal place run by a warden named Samuel Norton, a man who hides cruelty behind a Bible and a smile. From the first night, Shawshank makes its intentions clear. This place will break you. It breaks men every single day. But Andy is different, not physically. He's slight, quiet, not obviously tough. But there's something behind his eyes. A stillness. Like a man who has decided in some deep private place that this place will not have him. Not really. He befriends a man named Ellis Boyd Redding. Red, played by Morgan Freeman. Red is the fixer, the man who can get you things. Cigarettes, a harmonica, a poster of Rita Hayworth. Red has survived Shawshank by accepting it for what it is. He's been denied parole twice. He's institutionalized, though he doesn't fully know it yet. The friendship between Andy and Red becomes the spine of the film. Andy carefully builds a life inside the walls. He uses his banking knowledge to help the guards with their taxes, then the warden with his finances. And the warden begins to use Andy to launder money from illegal prison labor schemes. Andy becomes indispensable, which offers him a kind of protection, but also a deeper trap. Over nearly 2 decades, Andy chips away, literally chips away, at his cell wall. Behind his posters of Rita Hayworth, then Marilyn Monroe, then Raquel Welch, there is a tunnel. A tunnel he digs with a small rock hammer. A tunnel nobody notices because nobody believes a quiet banker could have that kind of patience. Hope, he calls it. When a young inmate named Tommy arrives and reveals evidence that proves Andy's innocence, the warden has Tommy killed rather than lose his financial wizard. And that's when Andy makes his move. On a stormy night, Andy crawls 500 yards through a sewage pipe. 500 yards, the film reminds you of that, and comes out the other side screaming at the rain, arms spread wide, reborn. He has emptied the warden's secret accounts and sent evidence of the corruption to the newspapers. The warden, exposed, shoots himself. Red is eventually paroled and follows Andy's coded instructions to a field in Maine, where Andy has left him money and a message. Red crosses the border into Mexico. The two men meet on a beach. The film ends not with a bang, but with a walk toward each other. 2 free men blinking in the light. 3 lessons for the world we're actually living in. Okay, that's the story. But here's what I actually want to talk about. Because we're not in a movie. We're in 2026. And the walls around us aren't made of stone. They're made of interest rates and medical bills and news feeds that make you feel like the whole thing is burning down. So what does Andy Dufresne actually have to teach a 40-year-old man who is drowning? 3 things, just 3, but they're the real ones. Lesson 1. Hope is not passive. Hope is work. There's a moment in the film where Red says,
"Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane."
And he's not wrong. Blind hope, the kind that just sits there waiting for things to get better. That's not hope. That's avoidance. But Andy's hope is different. Every single night for 19 years, Andy picks up that little rock hammer and chips away at the wall. Nobody sees it. Nobody praises him for it. Some nights it must have felt absolutely pointless. Some nights the tunnel must have seemed like it was going nowhere. But he did it anyway. Consistently. Quietly. Without an audience. That's the kind of hope that actually works. Not, maybe it'll get better. Not, someone will fix this. But, what is the one small thing I can do today that moves me 1 inch closer to something better? 1 inch. That's all? If you're buried in debt, you can't dig out in a month. But you can make one phone call today. You can cut one thing out today. You can learn one skill today that makes you slightly more valuable tomorrow. The tunnel doesn't care about your feelings. It only responds to the chisel. Lesson 2. Don't let the institution have your mind. There's a word the film uses that I can't stop thinking about. Institutionalized. An older prisoner named Brooks is released after 50 years and he can't cope. The world terrifies him. The structure of the prison, the walls that imprisoned him, had also become him. Without them, he doesn't know what he is. He hangs himself in a halfway house. Red watches this and says,
"These walls are funny. First you hate them, then you get used to them. Enough time passes, you get so you depend on them."
Now look at us. We have been trained, by debt, by media, by a consumer system, to believe that we need the system in order to survive, that we cannot think differently, that the rules are just the rules, that this is just how it is. Andy never believed that. Even inside the walls, his mind was free. He played Mozart over the prison loudspeakers when he knew he'd get thrown in solitary for it. He built a library. He tutored other inmates for their diplomas. He kept insisting that there was a world outside the prison. Your mortgage is a wall. Your bad job is a wall. Your learned helplessness is a wall. The question isn't whether walls exist. They do. The question is, are they in your head or just around your body? Because the ones in your head are the only ones that actually hold you. Lesson 3. Find your red. This is the one people skip over, and I think it might be the most important. Andy didn't make it alone. He had Red, a man who saw him clearly, who didn't pretend the situation was better than it was, who pushed back when Andy talked about hope, and who was ultimately changed by Andy's refusal to give up. They gave each other something that is almost impossible to find: honest witness. Red didn't flatter Andy. Andy didn't preach at Red. They just showed up for each other, year after year, inside the worst place imaginable. I think about how many men my age, men like me, maybe men like you, are going through the hardest years of their lives completely alone. Won't ask for help, won't admit the debt, won't tell anyone the marriage is struggling or the anxiety is getting worse because somewhere we got the idea that needing another person was weakness. That idea is a lie. Andy needed Red. Red needed Andy. And when Red finally walks out of Shawshank and keeps that promise, walks to that field in Maine, picks up Andy's note, he says something that breaks me every time. I hope I can make it across the border. I hope to see my friend and shake his hand. I hope the Pacific is as blue as it has been in my dreams. He hopes. The man who told us hope was dangerous, he finally hopes. That only happened because of Andy. You need an Andy. Or maybe you need to be an Andy for someone else. Either way, you can't dig the tunnel alone. What does it all mean? Look, I don't know your situation, I don't know how deep the hole goes, but I know that a movie made 30 years ago, about a man in a prison he didn't deserve, has outlasted almost everything else in popular culture because it tells us something true. The system does not have to own you. The walls are real, but they are not permanent, and the tunnel gets dug one night at a time. Get busy living. Or get busy dying. That's not just a line. That's the whole thing. Yep, that get busy living.